Welcome into this Tuesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford studio here this morning. It is the opening day of spring football practice. It is the day that all of the SEC men's basketball coaching hires have been completed, I think. I think they're all done. Might be forgetting one, but I'm pretty sure they're all in.
I think they're all done.
Okay, they all done. Baseball, it is another weather report day. As the Rebels and Tigers are supposed to be playing at AutoZone Park tonight. It will depend on how badly they would like to get that game in, whether or not they get that game in today. No update as of 8:10 a.m. this morning. They play Memphis again tomorrow back here in Oxford for a 6:30 start for that one. And then the Rebels and the Volunteers this weekend in what is expected to be a pretty chaotic weekend here in Oxford and Lafayette County. So that and more coming up on today's show. A show brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Still trying to give away $10. We do that by you downloading the Exxon mobile app. You taking a picture of the QR code right there at the pump. When you do that, 1,000 bonus points, and 1,000 bonus points equals $10 with any Blue Sky location in Mississippi, including the Oxford Exxon. Lunch specials $5.69. 2 sides of bread, 32-ounce drink for that. And stop in on your way to town this weekend, again, right there on Highway 6 West in Oxford, and coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest completely up to you. You can shop it around. Or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do. Let's hop into a Clark Ford today. You'll love the product. You'll love the service. People at Clark Ford really want to be your car guy. They want to be your truck guy. They'll prove to you what that means when you make the call. 662-257-1900. Guest join on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. Great place to grab a burger or a po' boy, an appetizer, a beer, a full bar. A lot of stuff going on this weekend, obviously, with baseball and the NCAA tournament and all of that. Those things be a great place to make it a part of your weekend if you're coming up. So, again, Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford and also in New Albany.
Still covering places to follow today. A couple of things going on. Again, Ole Miss starting spring football. Media ops today, Thursday. Practice viewing for media, but no op on Saturday. So
And for the public.
And for the public. Okay, sorry.
Saturday.
Yeah, so wide open for everybody on Saturday, but no.
So I'll just clear this out now. So we'll do it now. So this applies to all 5 weeks.
Uh-huh.
They practice on Tuesday mornings and on Thursday mornings. Those practices are closed to the public. Don't need to ask. They're closed. Saturday practices are always going to begin around noon. They're going to happen in the stadium, weather permitting, and if they happen in the stadium, they're going to be open to the public. I don't know where you can sit. I don't know what the rules are. I'm sure you'll find out when you get there, but it will be open to the public.
Okay.
That's it. There you go. That's for the next 5 weeks, and then it will be over with the Grove Bowl, which is played at, I believe, noon on April the 23rd, and then that will mark the end of spring football. Tuesdays and Thursdays are closed to the public. It appears to be closed to the media as well.
Yes.
We will have post-practice
stuff. I don't know.
pre-arranged media sessions where we will get to hear from the players that they want us to hear from. And then on Saturday, we will have access to it in the same way that you do as the public, but there will be no interviews afterwards. So we'll come up with observations and such.
So really there is no media on Saturday because you could be John Q and get the exact same thing.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay.
They open it up to everyone because that allows them to open it up to recruits.
Correct, yes. Give me 3 things not quarterback related that actually can get solved this spring.
Solved?
Or solved or pushed in the right direction towards solving or a question to be answered or however you'd like to phrase those key things.
I think they've got to address wide receiver.
Yep.
They've got a bunch of guys that have been in the program for a little while who have been sporadic in their production.
Yep.
I think they've got to figure out which of those guys they can depend on and which ones they can't because they have a limited number of spots available to them in the, quote, second portal,
Correct.
which is still the only portal. It's just, It
comes later.
So, how many of those spots do you commit to wide receiver in an offense that you want to be explosive? So I think that's one big question. I think the other is young offensive linemen. How many of those guys are ready, or do you feel at the end of the spring are SEC caliber players who can help you?
Mm-hmm.
think that's got to be addressed because that's from a roster depth standpoint over the course of the next 12 months. If guys can't help you, they probably need to kind of move along. And then I guess the other would be, I'm just curious to see, it's the one thing that gets glossed over. Like, people get excited about this football team, and I think it's going to be a really good football team.
Mm-hmm.
But we all focus so much on replacing Matt Corral that we don't ever really talk much about how do you replace Sam Williams? Because dude was really impactful. He impacted games. He made offenses speed up. He made quarterbacks uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. They don't have a natural replacement for him on the roster. There's not one guy on the roster you go, oh, yeah, that's the guy. So I think it's, the guys like Clowney and Ivy and Cedric Johnson and those guys, how much do those guys step up? Not where you figure out, can you go get another guy out of the portal? It's not that, but just do you have to amend the way you do your defense when you don't have a Sam Williams? And then the other one you didn't ask for 4, but here's the fourth. Jeff Lebby's not there anymore. So it was his offense the last couple of years. And I know it was Lane Kiffin's offense, but it was Jeff Lebby calling plays, running practice, that kind of thing. He's not there, so you have a new face on offense. DJ Durkin's not there anymore. He's at Texas A&M. I know Chris Partridge was a co-defensive coordinator, but it always looked like Durkin,
DJ was more the system guy.
Durkin was the guy running the practice, running the system. Well, he's not there, so how different do you look? Do you go the same speed on offense, for example? Those are questions that I don't know the answers to. We'll see.
Yeah, the defensive end thing is really interesting because you're probably not going to get another Sam Williams come out of nowhere. I mean, it almost looks like it's kind of a Moneyball deal in a way. Hey, how do we get the aggregate to all look the same at the end of the day? Well, he gets on base because that's kind of where Ole Miss is at a little bit from that position. You need Cedric Johnson to take the big step. You see what you get out of the kid from TCU. You just sort of put it together. Yeah, that if you can run the same thing, if you can't run the same thing, or what that looks like. Wide receiver is maybe, as you mentioned off the top, from an offensive standpoint, maybe the most fascinating because you lose so much production. You got guys in that you kind of go, okay, we think there's chances for this or that or whatever. Sure. I mean, as mentioned in the thread, Ole Miss still thinks there's a very good chance for Deion Smith should grades turn out. I mean, who knows? But he's not here right now. Malik Heath is not here right now, as mentioned. So, or at least, So, I guess point being, whatever it looks like in the passing game today is probably not what it's going to look like in the passing game in August. So you're trying to create some continuity in different ways, but summer feels much more important than spring when it comes to the passing game and offense and quarterback receiver continuity that comes with that.
I don't know if you remember last spring, a lot of offensive guys were out.
Yeah, that's right.
And the offense was anemic in the spring, and to the point that Kiffin was bored at practice. And there were people that were like, are you concerned? Or, no, I mean, not.
I don't have my dudes.
I'm not concerned. I mean, I'm not whatever. It's just that's the other thing, and I know this is not going to be popular, but I've had people go, how come you don't do a lot of, like, off-season strength and conditioning stuff? And I'll tell you why. Because when I was covering Auburn back in the day, and early in my time here, if you talked to strength coaches, you'd always get bigger, faster, stronger. Everybody's bigger, faster, stronger. I've never had a strength and conditioning coach yet. Yeah, you know what? A couple of these guys we really thought would make strides, but they didn't. Their bodies kind of stopped growing. It looks like we made some evaluation mistakes on how they might grow. And, they're not really stronger. They're not really more flexible. I don't think they're going to be able to help us. So you don't get that. You get nothing but positive. Mm-hmm. And then the season rolls around, and the guys that were weight room warriors, it doesn't translate to Saturday. And now the fans say, you said, and it's like, I didn't say it. The strength and conditioning coach said it. But it becomes, you said that Joe Schmo was going to be a great player because he was so much more explosive.
Yeah.
And then he's not. So I just kind of.
And some dudes are just combine warriors. They get bigger, faster, stronger, and blow up. And then
NFL draft every year.
Yeah.
It'll happen next month.
I mean, there's a couple of Ole Miss guys that come to mind, and I'm not going to call them out, even though they've been going for a long time. But, I mean, oh, God, they are. They look, I mean, on the hoof, here we go, and then couldn't do anything.
So I just kind of wait and see. And on a spring like this one, do you pay more attention because there's more stuff? Yes, absolutely. You pay more attention. But is it make or break? Are you making your team in spring? No.
Not even.
And you still, spring is still a time for coaches when they're excited and they get back out there with their guys and they get to look at some people. But in the back of their minds, like, please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. Because you don't want that injury in mid-April that is still lingering in October. So it's different. I mean, I suspect it'll be very similar to last spring, where on Saturdays it will be a controlled practice with a little bit of controlled scrimmage and maybe a little bit of live scrimmage, but they'll keep that to a kind of a minimum. Now he goes hard in spring, and then he's a guy that
because he'll ramp it back.
Kiffin is a guy that in fall camp they go hard, and then once the season starts they back way off. So that's his MO. So it'll be they've got some young guys they've got to figure out what they are. And especially in today's age of the portal, and Kiffin's had a lot of success about the portal. He tweeted about the portal yesterday. He loves the portal. And so the people that just don't, sometimes I think they think it's being cute on his part. Sometimes I think he's just being transparent. He's basically saying, thank God for the portal.
Yeah. And if you're a kid getting in, hey, over here.
Yeah, we're over
here. Hey.
We're over here. We're going to check you out. And
and
it's they're bringing some high school guys in on Saturday. I don't know how many, we had this conversation the other day with some people, and it was like, hey, how many high school guys do you think they'll sign? I said 12. And someone goes, no, it's too high. I was like, seriously? 12. And it's too high. I'm like, you're saying they might only sign 8, 9, 10 high school guys? Yep. If they can have this kind of success in the portal, I think they'll continue to circle back to it.
Especially because a lot of the guys, because what the portal does for you, and it's twofold, we've talked about this a lot, but it's worth repeating in the middle of this conversation, is you can get multi-year guys. The one-year guys are important, but they're not as important as those multi-year guys.
Yeah, sure.
And then the other catch is, well, they've used their portal now. So they're locked into you, and you don't have to go, oh, God, what if he does this and it's a two-way door? No, it's a one-way door for the guys that have already used the portal, unless they're going to sit out for a year, and they don't have the eligibility for that most of the time. So,
but you
get them.
You do bring in some one-year guys that,
yeah, sure.
Like
Floyd Brown's going to be a hell of a replacement. Going to be needed.
Chance Campbell stepped in and was critical. Mason Brooks is walking in, taking over a tackle spot that allowed you to move Nick Broker inside.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Troy Brown. I mean, he's walking in basically replacing Chance Campbell. I mean, if they see that works, I think that becomes an easier path or a more effective path in a league that you don't get as much development time. I think the days of signing the guy that you go, hey, we're going to bring this kid in, we're going to redshirt him. Probably not going to play much as a redshirt freshman, but we really think he can be a backup as a redshirt sophomore and then be a 2-year starter. I think those days are over. I think you might accidentally stumble into some of that.
But that's going to take a certain personality from a kid.
But what I'm saying is I don't think that's ever going to be the plan again. Like that used to be the plan. Oh, yeah, we really like this kid. He's only 18. We really think by the time he's 21, he's going to be a contributor.
But it's self-fulfilling in a way, too, because if you're only bringing in guys who you expect to compete immediately to be to that level and transition that quickly, and then they don't, well, their mindset is not, hey, I'm going to go redshirt, I'm going to go sit, I'm going to be an apprentice, and I'm going to learn. No, I'm getting out.